In this video, we will be introducing the concept of compounding interest. Specifically, what is compounding interest, where is it used, and what is the formula that we can use to represent compounding interest. We're going to start with a simple question that's a review of what we worked on last time with exponential growth. So suppose we have this scenario. You deposit $100 in an account that earns 12% annual interest. The simple question is, how much will you have earned in 1 year? So based on what we know last time, what we learned last time, we've got $100. We're going to multiply that by 1 plus my 12% interest, 0.12, and raise that to the number of times that growth is going to happen. In this case, that's 1 year. So that's all to the 1. So this, pretty simply, because we're working with 100, this is going to come out to $112, right? 12% of 100 gets me $112. Now, the next question here is a little bit different. So this asks, how much will you have earned in 1 year if the bank compounds the interest semi-annually, every 6 months? So essentially what compounding does is it takes your same 12% annual interest rate and applies it evenly across each of the periods that it's applying to. In this case, we are going semi-annually for 1 year. So if we think about this as our 1 year, we're splitting this into 2 6-month periods. And each of these 6-month periods is going to get an equal part of our 12% annual rate. So in the first 6 months, we're going to get 6%. And in the second 6 months, we are going to get 6%. Now, if you think about this quickly, you'll say, oh, this is going to give me that same $112, but I'm going to get $6 in my first 6 months and then $6 in my second 6 months instead of all $12 at the end of the year. Let's actually look at what happens here, though. So we still have our same $100 to start with, and then we are going to do 1 plus, in this case, 6%. But what's happening here is this is not being applied once, but instead being applied twice. It's being raised to the 2, because there are 2 6-month periods. So you earn that 6% not once, but twice in 1 year. This turns out to give us an actual amount of $112.36. So splitting this up into these 2 6-month periods actually earned us a little bit more money. And that's because the second 6-month period here wasn't compounding on $100, but was actually doing the compounding on the $106 because we had the 6% added from the previous 6 months. Let's see what happens if we change how often we compound. So now, instead of compounding semi-annually, we're going to be compounding quarterly, which is every 3 months now. I encourage you to pause the video now to calculate how much you would earn with quarterly compounding. Okay, so our same scenario is applying here. We have 1 year, and it is split up into more than one period. In fact, quarterly means we're going to have 4 pieces. So we're going to have 3 months at a time for each of these spots. Now, we're going to apply the same interest rate to each of those pieces. And again, we're splitting our 12% annual interest rate into each of these pieces. So each of these is going to get 3%, because the percentage rate needs to add up to 12 by the end of the year. So this is going to become 100 times 1 plus 0.03 to the 4th. Now, because we're having 4 sets of 3 months, or 4 quarters in the year. And in this case, we're going to earn 112.55. All right, let's try one more and see what happens. How much will you have earned in 1 year if the bank compounds the interest monthly? So pause the video and see if you can calculate the monthly compounding on a 12% interest rate. Okay, hopefully you had an opportunity to try this out. Now, since we are compounding our interest monthly, we need to split our 12% annual interest into each month. So really, this is 1% monthly. So if I'm writing this out, I still have that same $100 to start. And then I'm going to go 1 plus 0.01 to the 12, because there's 12 months in the 1 year that I'm accruing interest. And in this case, I'm going to earn $112.68. So I earned even more this time than I did in the other scenarios. So just to look at this all in one, if I compound 12% annually just once, I'm going to earn that $112. But the more often I compound it, the more pieces I split it into, it seems like I'm earning more and more on my investment. Now, reasonably, you could ask, well, can I keep increasing the number of times I compound? And the answer to that is going to be yes, we can keep increasing the number of times we compound. But before we test that out, I want to give you the compound interest formula. So what this does is it takes all of the important pieces of information that we have and puts it into one simple formula. So we don't have to actually think too much about how we set up these problems. So P, this is our initial value. The reason that this is represented by P is because most often compound interest is used when money is involved. So the P here stands for the principal, which is the initial investment, okay? Really, this is just that starting value. T over here representing the same thing it has in the past as the total. That 1, once again, standing for that 100% that we're kind of adding to. Now we get over into 3 other variables. So R is going to be the growth rate. In this case, most often it's going to be the annual percentage. T, pretty self-explanatory there. T is going to be representing the time that we are growing our investment. And so then this last variable here, N, this is the number of compounds per unit of time. Most often, this is going to be number of compounds per year. When we're talking about money, generally we're talking about that annual percentage rate, so we're talking about N being the number of compounds per year. So, if I were to look at one of my previous examples, $100 at 12% compounded monthly, I would set up my formula like this. Total equals 100 times 1 plus, I'm just going to use my 12% here, 0.12 over 12, because I'm compounding monthly. And then we'll say 5 years for this. So my exponent is going to be 12, or N, times my T value of 5 years. So again, we're given the principal, we're given the interest rate, we're given the number of compounds per unit of time, and we are given how many or how long the investment has to grow. Okay. What you're going to be asked to do now is to do a little bit of an investigation into compounding interest. And what this is going to have you do is see just how much you can earn if you increase that N value, increasing the number of compounds. How much more can you earn by increasing that number of compounds? So we went up to monthly in this video, but in the activity, you're going to be going beyond just monthly compounding and seeing just how much you can earn on an initial investment.